Well, hello. Little, kind of, I guess not impromptu because I've been planning to do it for a few days, but little kind of fun extra video for you guys this week. My buddy over on Instagram, Hersa, also known as the Hersa Way, here on YouTube and on Instagram, reached out to me via DM. We had talked previously about doing a collab together, but hadn't decided on anything yet. So she reached out to me the other day and was like, hey, do you want to do this tag with me? And I was like, girl, yeah. Hersa has previously done this tag before. I'll link that video in the description box, and I'll link Hersa's channel so you can go subscribe to her and check out her content. Check out her Instagram, follow her over there. She does a lot of really fun, interesting content stuff. If you're into indie beauty, indie eyeshadows, C beauty, definitely check out her stuff. Check her out. She's just a cool chick. And I'm really excited to be collabing with her today. I'd been wanting to do this tag. I hadn't decided on when I was going to do it. So thank you, Hersa, for, lighting a fire under me so I can finally get it done. And I feel like it'll be a fun tag to revisit, like, annually, maybe? So let me know what you guys think about that. The creator, who is the originator of this tag, is Julia Adams, who's actually one of my favorite people to watch, funnily enough. I will also link her channel down below. She does a top 3 favorites in every makeup category every year. She's done it for the last, 5 years. Me and Hersa are talking to you guys today about our top 3 favorites in 10 makeup categories, not every category. Maybe whenever I revisit this tag, I'll do every category. But she sent me a list of categories of makeup that she had done last time she did this tag. And I was like, I think I can cover that. Although I will say the first category is the most intimidating one. I actually have not landed on what my third pick for that category is. So I've been kind of tempted to push that category off to the end. But to be honest, I kind of don't want to keep thinking about it. So we're just going to launch right into it. Our first category is top 3 eyeshadow palettes. I have 2 of my 3 picked out and then a stack of palettes next to me waiting to see if they're gonna get a rose, I guess. The first one I absolutely have to mention, this is one you guys saw me do a 5 looks 1 palette with. That was the first episode of that series I actually did, was with this palette last year. This is the Fantasy Cosmetica Harvest of Souls palette. Look at that. You have a really incredible mix of tones and textures in here. You've got really cool, desaturated, grungy tones. You've got jewel tones. You've just got a little bit of everything going on. You can do a wild variety of looks with this palette. You can get real creative with it. Fantasy Cosmetica has my favorite eyeshadow formula, period. I'm talking across formulas. Their mattes are a dream to work with. Really lovely. And with each of their palettes, you get like a really cool variety of shimmer formulas to play with, and I have been happy with every single one. I have 5 Fantasy Cosmetica palettes. Yes, I have 5 Fantasy Cosmetica palettes. This is, I think, in my opinion, their best palette they've... No, that might not be true. I think it's my favorite of their palettes that they've done, clearly. There needed to be Fantasy Cosmetica representation in my top 3 picks for eyeshadow palettes, and I was I was looking at my 5 palettes from them, and I was like, it might be more practical to pick one of these other ones, but no, I'm throwing practicality out the window for the most part. We're going with this one. This feels like the obvious choice. They did recently restock it. I don't know if it's still in stock. Hopefully it is. If it is, obviously, I will link it down below. I'll link everything I talk about today down below if I can, if it's available to shop. The next one I kind of knew I had to pick because it's just been such a fave for me to reach for recently. Even if it's not the only palette I'm using that day, it's a really good one to pair with a bunch of my other palettes, and it has been like my go-to neutral palette recently. It is from Blend Bunny and Ellis Atlantis Volume 2. This is the Imperial palette. Oh, the little one next door is screaming. Oh, a little fuss bucket. Sorry about that. She's been really fussy lately. Poor thing. It's just a really good cool toned neutral palette with some like pink and berry shades to dip into. It's an all matte palette. It's really, really great to reach for just like general everyday need to throw on something easy, but it also pairs well with a lot of my other palettes. It's actually one of the palettes that was on my eyes in my last YouTube video. Really solid. I'm sure you've heard all kinds of good things about the Blend Bunny eyeshadow formula at this point. It's a really reliable formula, particularly their mattes. I think their mattes are super high performing, and I've never had a bad thing to say about the Blend Bunny eyeshadow formula in general. So if you were to pick that up, I think you'd be very happy with it. Now for third eyeshadow palette, I have 4 palettes, 4 or 5. 4. I have 4 palettes sitting over here. I think I'm going to disqualify the most recent one I've been loving, because I've only dipped into it twice. I'll link that video as well. But there's another one from the same brand that I'm very tempted to pick, I'm not gonna lie. Do you know what? I think the one I'm trying not to overthink it too much and treat this like a current top 3 favorites video. Again, because I do think this is a tag that I want to revisit in the future. So I'm treating this like a current top 3. Okay, I feel a lot better about that now. I guess I'm gonna go for the one that I've dipped into the most, which is Bella Beauty Bar's Vamp palette. Just look at that. Look at that. Another really, really excellent eyeshadow formula. Bella Beauty Bar shadows I've never had a problem with. I really, really love them. I think if there's a color story from the brand that speaks to you, go ahead and pick it up. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think their shadow formula is stellar. When I say Fantasy Cosmetica is my favorite formula, there are a couple of other indie shadow brands that I feel are perform very similarly, and Bella Beauty Bar is one of them. Should I cheat and show you guys the other 3 palettes that I was torn over? It couldn't hurt. So these are, we won't even call them honorable mentions, we'll just say these were 3 of our other contenders, so if you're curious, at least you get to see what I was so torn over. It's not officially part of the list. Hersa, don't yell at me. So the most recent one I mentioned earlier was Wicked Widow Rocky Horror Show. I just find this color story so inspiring. You guys will be seeing more looks with this from me in the near future. I was really stoked about this when it got announced, and I'm glad I love it. Also from Wicked Widow Beauty, this one very nearly won, but to be honest, I haven't dipped into it as much as I have dipped into the Bella Beauty Bar one, and that was literally the only deciding factor is it really a top palette if it didn't get as many use, you know what I mean? But you guys did also see me dip into this a little bit in my 3 looks for February video that went up in February, on the last day of February. Just look at that. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm always going to be really stoked about a color story that is black and red focused. A Teenage Jax, black and red was her go-to color combo. It's still something I'm always really drawn to when I feel like being a bad bitch. So, and I think it's my favorite palette from Wicked Widow, actually. We'll have to see if eventually Rocky Horror takes top spot, but as of right now, this is my favorite Wicked Widow palette. And finally, the other Bella Beauty Bar palette I was considering was Coalescence, which they did in collaboration with Newport Makeup. This is just like polar opposite aesthetic, but still very much a me color story, if that makes sense. I love it. I love it so much, and I do think it is actually a really good companion palette for all of the 3 that did win for top spot. So, okay, back to the actual list. I think the next category is, yes, single eyeshadows. This one, I felt really called out by this one. I have this isn't even my only thing of them. I have a pretty decent collection of single shadows that I do not dip into enough. So it was a little bit easier for me to pick a top 3 single shadows because I know if I'm pulling this out to dip into a single shadow, in my mind I'm like, it's because I want to use a certain shadow. So I know like my couple of shades that I think to use more often. The first one I have to mention is Frozen Waves from Divina. Oh, it's so beautiful. Let me just swatch these for you actually. It has like such a gorgeous, like plummy mauve base with like a green shift. Oh my god. I love a mauve base in a shifty shadow. I think that is just gorgeous. Divina shadows are also really incredible, to be honest. This would be my top pick from them. This would be my first recommendation from them because it's like colorful but still I think approachable for a lot of people, even if you don't like wearing color on your eyes or maybe you're really new to multi-chrome shadows. I feel like this is a really beginner friendly option. There's like a whole row of shadows here at the bottom from a brand I just don't even fuck with anymore, which is annoying. Okay, right next to the Divina one, right there, that is Fire Orchid from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. Another one of my top performing eyeshadow brands, by the way, right up there with those like Bella Beauté Bar and Fantasy Cosmetica. Ah! Oh! Fire Orchid is that girl! Oh my god. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. It's got a very warm pink base with like a fiery orange shift. Oh, I just love it. I just love it. There's also like a little bit of like green in there, I feel. And both of these also have a fun, like, it almost kind of feels like a lilac-y shift as well. So that's great. I feel confident about those 2 choices. And for a third slot, I am torn between 2 Cleonad shades. I am torn. I know what my heart is telling me though, and it has to be Duchess from Cleonad, which is just a really beautiful, perfect, lovely green to pink shift. Look at those together. Look at those 3 together. Oh my god. I feel so good about that. Look at that. Look at that. And look at that. Wow. Yep. Those are my girls. those three are my girls for sure. I need a makeup wipe. What was I thinking? Oh no. I'm actually gonna try my best not to swatch like a maniac in this video. Even though I guess if there was a video to do it, it would be this one. But I just feel like that's going to be too time consuming. Because then I have to wipe the swatches off in between and it's gonna be a whole thing, man. I'm sorry. But for single shadows, I kind of felt like I didn't have a choice, you know? But yeah, those 3 are like, those are the ones, you know, from my single shadow stash. Easily like some of the first ones I would recommend to someone who's new to shopping multi-chrome shadows. I maintain that when it comes to eyeshadow, instead of looking at like the mainstream brands that are sold in like Sephora, if you're gonna drop the money for a higher end palette anyway, you might as well shop small and shop indie instead because the quality's just gonna be better. Like across the board. That's just my opinion. That's just how I feel. On to, it says liquid lipsticks. I don't own any liquid lipsticks. I don't like liquid lipsticks, so I'm just gonna say top 3 lipsticks. And when it comes to these kind of categories, instead of it just being like one, like me holding up a lipstick, I'm treating it like top 3 formulas. The first one that came to mind was the soft matte lipsticks from Mob Beauty. I do also really like the Frost lipsticks. I think they perform very comparably, but I get more use out of the soft matte formula. Frost lipstick isn't necessarily like a day-to-day lipstick choice for me, and I have 5 of this soft matte formula. So my 2 most worn shades easily are M166, which is inspired by blood. It's by the shade of dried blood. Love that. Love that detail. And then M95. M95 is probably this one on top. My most worn shade in this formula, for sure. Super smooth, like buttery smooth formula. Really adaptable pigmentation level. You could swipe it on for a full opacity kind of thing. It layers up, it builds on itself really well. Or just kind of blot it on and get like a softer look. Like a blotted, blurry lip look. Really perfect for that. Very hydrated feel. There's almost like a slip to it. It almost just kind of feels like... balmy is not the right word, but I think you know what I mean. It has a very hydrated feel to it for being a soft matte formula, and I just love it. I'm obsessed with it, actually. I think it's gonna be number one spot for sure. Followed closely, however, by a lipstick you can't buy anymore because the brand doesn't exist anymore. Bite Beauty. This formula is the Power Move Soft Matte Lipstick. Bite Beauty doesn't exist anymore. Their lip labs do. I have the shade Chai here. I have another shade from them too, but it's buried somewhere and I did not feel like looking for it. So we're going with Chai, which is one of my most worn lipsticks ever. Ooh, that's actually tough. This might be my number one lipstick pick for you. But I feel bad saying that because you can't just buy it. But I bet if you go to one of their lip labs, because their lip labs are still open, and they've got multiple locations around the country, I bet if you go into a lip lab and ask them to mix you Chai or any of their old shades that the brand had, they'd probably do it for you. But might be worth looking into. There it is. You guys have seen me use this a number of times just here on the channel. It's one that I have worn a lot. It's one I always return to. It's just like, it looks really pinky on camera, actually. That's not really what it looks like. It's got a really, it's like a toasted brown mauve shade. It's actually a really good kind of like 90s lip color, as I've mentioned before. And the formula, as you can see, it's a bit more visibly matte than the mauve ones are, and they've had some time to dry down at this point. It would look more matte on the lips than it does in the palm of my hand, but that is whatever. But this one's a bit more visibly, almost like a powdery matte, but still very comfortable to wear. Really lightweight formula compared to the mauve ones. I wish Bite Beauty still existed. The first time they did a rebrand and reformulated their lipsticks, I was like, what is happening? And it turned out to be for the best, because I did like the Power Move lipstick formula more than their original Amuse-Bouche lipstick formula. And I still have a couple of my Amuse-Bouche lipsticks as well, which is insane. They are probably so rancid, actually. When they did the first reformulation, they were really playing with my heartstrings, you know, when they did their first rebrand. And then I was like, okay, but maybe it'll be for the best because these lipsticks are dope. And then the brand just closed down. So you can't just buy their lipsticks anymore. But if you're interested, definitely check out the Lip Lab situation. I'll leave a link to that down below as well. So you can explore that option. And this last situation, I'm not going to swatch all of them because there's too many. Rituel de Fille. This is actually going to come up again later in a different category too. This is technically two different lipstick formulas, but I find they behave, they apply, they wear so similarly that I don't really consider the distinction between the two formulas. I'm not thinking like, well, am I going to reach for an enchanted lip sheer or am I going to reach for a forbidden lipstick? They behave the same way, in my opinion. I kind of just decide what color I want to wear and I move on. So in general, Ritual Defeat lipsticks. Water Violet is potentially my favorite shade from them. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. And that is an Enchanted Lip Sheer. And the Forbidden lipstick I picked out to swatch is Cryptic, which is also a really good shade. I didn't give myself a lot of room to swatch these, but they're skinny, so it's fine. The Cryptic shade swatch looks a lot heavier, but Water Violet's at the top is that pinky one. It's a much more, like, mauve-y pink. It looks super pink on camera. My camera does this. It makes any warm-ish tone, anything with like a pink or red or orange undertone, look way warmer than it actually is in real life. It's kind of like a nice mauve-y lilac shade in real life. And then Cryptic is this guy, awkwardly swatched over here between Water Violet and Chai from Bite Beauty. It's another one of those formulas, kind of like the Mob Beauty formula. Looks really like dewy and hydrated finish in the palm of my hand. It translates as a lot more matte in real life. You guys have seen me wear both these formulas a lot, both here and over on Instagram. So the photo evidence can attest to what it looks like on the lips. Swatches of products are rarely an accurate representation of how a product's gonna look when actually worn on the area of the face it's supposed to be on. We know this. Ooh, moving on to a tough one. Cream blushes. Oh, swatching the Ritual Defeat lipsticks last was actually turned out to be a really good segue because the next category is cream blushes. And that is the other category where I'm kind of going to cheat a little bit because Ritual Defeat blushes also come in two different formulas, but to me, in my opinion, there are minor differences, right? But for the most part, for me, they behave very similarly. They apply very similarly. That's just my opinion. Once again, when I'm thinking I really want to wear a Ritual Defeat cream blush, which is most times that I'm doing my makeup because it's probably my top picks for blush. I'm not thinking about which formula I want to reach for. I'm thinking about what color I want to wear. So I just think, much like with the lipsticks we just talked about, generally, Ritual Defeat blush. Not like, do I want to wear an Inner Glow cream pigment or do I want to wear a Color Nectar balm? I don't do that. I don't differentiate between them like that. So just generally, Ritual Defeat blush. Although if it is any helpful indicator to you, I do have more of the Color Nectar pigment balms than I do the cream pigment. But again, I do think it's because of like the colors that drew me in the most, not so much a formula preference thing. For your reference, I'm not going to swatch all these, but these are the shades that I have of the Color Nectar pigment balms. That's Bloodflower, Weeping Cherry, Snowdrop, and Moth. Moth is easily my favorite. I called this one out specifically in my Best in Beauty 2025 Part 2 video, which was all about all the makeup I loved in 2025. Moth is potentially, at this point, my most worn blush from Ritual Defeat. So I guess that would be my top recommendation to you. It would be between that and Desire, which is one of the shades I have in the Inner Glow cream pigment. I've had this longer, so this is actually easily my most worn shade from them, but since Moth came into my life, I haven't been reaching for this one as much. I will say it is a beautiful, cool mauve in pan, but it is one of those ones that when I blend it on my cheeks, it turns a little pink. It warms up quite a bit. It doesn't really stay super cool toned. I have mentioned before that can happen with cool tone products on my skin, so that's just something to bear in mind. And the other one I have from them in the Inner Glow cream pigment formula is Lust, which looks crazy warm next to Desire, but is also a kind of nice, not completely desaturated, but we'll say less saturated, more of a naturally occurring flush tone, like a nice rose shade. There's also another blush shade from them in the Inner Glow cream pigment formula I have, but I use it as more of a bronzing tone. So that would be my first pick for cream blushes. My first recommendation to you would be to check out Ritual Defeat. Next we have Phytosurgeons. I only have one shade from them, but it is a lovely, lovely shade. It's Wisp. It's just a nice, cool, muted lilac. Once again, kind of similarly to Desire. They even look a little similar to each other. I think Desire is just ever so slightly, yeah, less saturated. See? This one's a bit more noticeably purpley, but Desire does have a very purple undertone. Similarly to Desire, it looks lovely and cool in pan, but can warm up and turn pretty pink on my cheeks. So once again, worth noting. It's like a really delightful plush cream texture. The Phytosurgeons one, it almost feels kind of moussey. Not quite. It's a little, it's a really good texture. It's just really lovely. Really lovely. I'd be interested to pick up more shades of their blushes for sure, based on my experience with that one. And the last cream blush I have to talk about has clearly been used and abused. This is the Half Magic cream blush, the Cheek Fluff cream blush in the shade Pink Mushroom. I will say, it's not so much pinky, it's much more of a peach. So the name is interesting. It looks practically orange in pan, actually. Even looking at it in real life, it's very orangey, peachy shade, but there is just enough pink in it that I find it still pretty flattering on my skin tone. There's like a really subtle pearlescence to it as well. It's a really lovely, wonderful, beautiful cream blush that you guys have seen me use so many times, actually. It's one of those ones that's really obviously fantastic on its own, but also a really lovely base shade to layer other blushes on top of. You guys know I like to do a blush cocktail. So there's that. Those are my 3 picks for cream blush. Powder blushes. Oh, this was pretty easy. I was going back and forth for a second there on my 3rd pick, but I knew what was in my heart. I don't think any of my answers will even surprise you guys if you've been here, even if you just started following me just recently. First and foremost, Unearthly powder blush formula, the Incandescent blush formula. I have this single in the shade Mystic. It's like a really perfect rosy tone. And then I also got the Gothic Romance blush palette, which comes with a decent variety of tones to dip into. Really lovely, smooth, glowy, but not in like a blush lighter-y way. There's just there's a soft glow to it. So it's more of a, I'd say that in general the powder is just a satin finish powder anyway, not like a matte powder blush with shimmer in it. That's not what it is at all. It is a lovely, lovely, soft satin formula with a little bit of a pearlescence. A pretty subtle pearlescence, but it just kind of translates to a really beautiful, healthy glow on the cheeks. Next up, you already know, it's the Singe blushes. The Evocative Silk blushes. So I have 2 of the warmer tones. I have Timid Tomato and Riveting Rhubarb, and then 2 of the cooler toned ones from the more recent launch, Fearless Fig and Likeable Lychee, which is, I think, easily, of the 4, my favorite shade. It's actually the blush I have on today. Hopefully, you can tell. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Perfect, perfect formula. Also, very similarly to the Unearthly formula, not that they're the same, but similarly, satin finish powder with an added pearlescence. I will say these are much more sheeny. The pearlescence is much stronger in these than in the Unearthly blush. And I do also think the Singe blushes are more pigmented, which is good that they give you a lot of pigment from the jump, because these are so glowy, if you're building them up, you know, you're not just adding pigment, you're also adding shine. So if that's not your thing, you know, I think that they strike a very delicate balance. Still not quite a blush lighter, but quite a bit glowier than the Unearthly ones, even though the Unearthly ones do have that bit of sheen to them. And the last one I have to talk about is CL, the CL powder blush in the shade Ruddy, which is a nice terracotta. It's the same kind of vibe, just no shine to this one whatsoever. No sheen, no pearlescence, no shine. Just a nice satin matte finish. Really, really flexible formula. Moves really well with the skin. I talked about this a lot in my most recent favorites video, and I talked about my favorite beauty products from February and March, because I rolled 2 months into one video. This is really lovely. I've been very impressed with both the blush formulas, actually, from CL, but particularly the powder one. Highlighters. So it just says highlighters in general. I pulled out 3 cream highlighters and also 3 powder highlighter. I'm technically adding a category because it just says highlighters, but I feel like I wanted to pick out 3 powders and 3 creams, kind of like we did with the blushes. So again, Hersa, feel free to yell at me in the comments, but that's what I'm doing. The first powder formula I have to highlight. Becca highlighters, obviously. I like them a lot. Still my #1 pick for highlighters. I'm really glad that Smashbox still carries some of the shades. Initially, they were just going to be carrying Champagne Pop, but they did expand and offer more of the shades, which is really, really great. And you can pick them up at Smashbox or at Sephora or Ulta. So they're also pretty accessible, which I'm so glad to see. I really am. I don't remember off the top of my head specifically what shades are available at this point. I don't think it's any of the like fun, shifty shades that they used to do. But my top shade pick from them is probably Moonstone. I have this one here from the Year of the Rat, because that's my Chinese zodiac sign. I'm a 1996 baby. The engraving is still pretty intact. There's like a cute little rat embossing in the highlighter. It's kind of my perfect light champagne-y gold shade. Champagne Pop never really drew me in. Doesn't really look like a tone that will suit my skin. I do think Moonstone is one of the ones that's still available now. I could be wrong about that. Again, I don't remember specifically. But check out Becca highlighters for sure. They're always going to be my first powder highlighter recommendation. And I feel like my other 2 powder highlighter picks are pretty in keeping with that formula, actually. My kind of preference being, when it comes to powder highlight, a smooth glow, nothing super glittery or metallic. I like a fun, sparkly, chunky highlight from time to time. As you guys know, I think that there's a time and a place and they can have their moment. But for the most part, my highlighter preferences are more of just a smooth, reflective, skin-enhancing kind of strobing powder. These Fenty Beauty, what's the full name of these? Light Diffusing Highlighters. Demi-Glow Light Diffusing Highlighter. I have the lightest shade, which is Pretty Pearls. It is so lovely, and it does remind me so much of the Becca highlighter formula. It's not quite the same. Those are more of a creamy powder, like a slightly emollient powder. And this is a baked formula, but it doesn't feel like super dry or rough like some baked powders can feel. It's very, very smooth and soft and lovely. And lastly, a more recent fave that I just feel slots right into this kind of category of highlighters so easy. Squid from Black Moon Cosmetics. This is their Moonlighter formula. Oh, it's so lovely. It's so lovely. Again, you guys have heard me talk about this one pretty recently. All the reasons that I love it. It's just beautiful. It's so beautiful. Again, super smooth, kind of like a candle-lit kind of glow. Love, love, love. And let me roll through the 3 cream highlighters pretty fast. I don't have a whole formula to talk about. I just have these 3. First and foremost, to the first cream highlighter I think I ever really loved, and she is destroyed in there. My goodness. ColourPop Flexitarian Super Shock Highlighter. A cult classic, if you will. I still have my original one, that's why it looks like this. The Super Shock formula is an interesting one in general for you to check out, but to be honest, this is the only shade in the Super Shock Highlighter formula I really stand by. I remember all the other ones I tried from them turned out to be really, like, really different in consistency and finish, actually, in my opinion. Like, I feel like a lot of the other ones I tried were, like, really sparkly, which is fine. Sparkly, like, noticeable glitter in, like, almost like a gel-like base, whereas this one is just, like, smooth, like, molten metal glow. Like, super, it's one of the only really super metallic looking highlighters I like, because I feel like it's executed just exactly right. So yeah, still stand by Flexitarian by ColourPop. Eventually I'll replace her because she's broken to shit, and Flexitarian is just a cream highlight I always want to have on hand anyway. Another OG, this is old as hell, and I swear it looks like barely used, but it is just one of my standbys, and it's really funny. We'll get into it. Fenty Beauty Diamond Bomb. In the shade How Many Carats, the original shade. This is a really interesting one because it kind of goes against everything I typically prefer in a highlight, obviously. It's got a sheer, really lightweight gel base, and then it's just loaded with frosty platinum sparkle. I know everything I've said about how I don't generally prefer a sparkly, glittery highlight, and this is essentially just straight glitter, but something about the way that they executed this, again, is just perfection. I've been glad to see them coming out with more shades of it over the years too. And again, as I've said, even though I don't generally gravitate toward a sparklier, glittery highlight, when I am thinking that's the kind of look I want to go for, this is more often than not the one I'm reaching for, so that's why it gets top pick status. Something about her is just different. It's like, you know, the way that the ocean sparkles, like when the sun hits it, it's that kind of. If you want your face to look like that, get this highlight. It's like equal parts wet skin look and also like fairy tale glisten. Like if you think about Drew Barrymore's makeup when she goes to the ball in Ever After, it's kind of like that. Shockingly wearable, glittery highlight. That's all I'm saying. And finally, from Ritual Defee, the Metamorphic highlighter in the shade The Sorcerer, which is part of my highlight cocktail today. I'm actually wearing two highlighters layered together, and this is the base of it. I feel like this is kind of the more eminently wearable version of the highlight from Fenty I just described. I feel like, if anything, this feels kind of like a combination of these two, which suddenly makes so many things make sense. It's a really lovely cream. I just really obviously enjoy Ritual Defee cream textures in general. This one is on the sparkly side, but it translates really beautifully on the skin. Actually just really smooth and lovely. Generally with highlight, I prefer powder over cream anyway. I have way more powder highlighters than cream highlighters, but more so recently, when I've felt like I want a cream highlighter, this is the one I've been reaching for. And in general, for cream highlights, like, these are my top performers, so I felt like they deserved a mention in this video too. When a product sits outside of like your kind of formula preference, but is still one that you find yourself wanting to reach for, I feel like it's worth mentioning. Eye pencils. I am actually just going to call this category eyeliners, because if I just stuck to eye pencils, I'd only have two to talk about. And there is a third formula I want to mention here. So for me, I'm saying top 3 eyeliners. Again, for 2 of these slots, no real surprises here. You guys have heard me talk so much about the ColourPop Cream Gel eyeliners and the Hung Van Gogh Longwear Gel eyeliners quite a bit. I will keep it as brief as I can. The Cream Gel eyeliner is a super pigmented, smooth formula, glides on super easy. Takes a minute to set. It is a cream gel hybrid, so it it's a creamier formula, but once it gets the time to dry down, it's locked in pretty well. I notice pretty minimal fading with these. They do hold their form pretty well against my oily, watery eyes. And for Hung Van Gogh, I'm actually wearing one of these. I'm wearing Up to You, which is this purple shade in my waterline right now. Doesn't go on as pigmented from the jump, but builds on itself really well, and that's a good thing because it sets really, really fast. It's a drier formula, is what I will say. You might feel a slight tug as you're applying. Don't get put off by that. It sets so fast. So it's a good thing that it builds on itself pretty well, because if an eyeliner set really fast and then didn't build up well, that would be deeply, deeply irritating. But this is a high-performing eyeliner, in my opinion. I know he has another formula too. He has a kohl eyeliner formula. I've only tried this one, the Longwear gel liner, and I love it. So, and for the third slot for eyeliners, I actually have a little book here full of the About Face liquid shadows. I don't use them as liquid shadows. I'm really not a liquid and cream shadow girl. It powder all the way for eyeshadow for me. I use these as eyeliners. And they're perfect. They're perfect for that purpose. Highly recommend. Lip liners. Okay. This was pretty easy. None of my answers will surprise anyone. I just grabbed my 3 most used formula. First and foremost, Unearthly lip liners. Oh, I'm actually missing one. I also have the purple one. Somehow I didn't grab that when I pulled all these out. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 shades of this lip liner. It's just great. I love a sturdy, easy pencil liner. I think this formula is really good. I think the price point is really fantastic. ColourPop Lippy pencils, I really enjoy. I have 2 of my like staple shades in this formula. I have like a cool mauve-y tone and then a deep red. This one, it's kind of more of a berry. Really lovely, smooth, creamy, pigmented formula. Really, really good. Along a similar vein of more recent absolute love, this lip liner formula has actually like stolen my heart. I feel like I want to get so many of the shades in this line. The Moonliner lip pencil from Black Moon Cosmetics in the shade Torty. Perfect, lovely, lovely, lovely. Love it so much. I will say it's a bit more. It's also a smooth, creamy, pigmented formula, but it is a bit more of a hydrated formula and finish. I almost kind of treat it more like a lip contour than a true lip liner, but that just makes it really, really comfortable to wear. And it does still hold its form like really well. It just needs a minute to dry down. Second to last category is lip glosses. I'm gonna mention the same 3 lip gloss formulas I pretty much always mention whenever this comes up. I'm just gonna show you the products and provide no additional context. We're just moving through it. Fenty Gloss Bombs. Tried and true. Been with me for a long time. Makeup by Mario lip glosses. I know they're not for everybody, but they are for me. God, I love them. One of these always lives in my purse. And last but not least, my top lip gloss formula I mentioned again in Best in Beauty 2025 Part 2. It stole top spot from the Fenty Gloss Bombs. Haus Labs lip glazes. My first recommendation if you're looking to try Haus Labs for the first time would be this gloss formula. Specifically the PhD Hybrid Lip Glaze formula. This like more opaque cream finish formula in the frosted tubes. I haven't tried the original like lip oil formula that they did. I didn't hear good things about that one. But this lip gloss formula is the best one. Period. And this last category is an interesting one. Top 3 brushes, which is something I surprisingly had never really considered before. But I do definitely have a top 3. The first one is the Half Magic, I think it's called the Baby Paw blush brush. It's the blush brush that it's the only blush brush they have. It's the blush brush that they created to go with the Cheek Fluff blush that I mentioned earlier. I always use this for cream and also sometimes liquid blushes. It is, in fact, the most perfect blush brush. Highly, highly recommend. If you try nothing else from Half Magic Beauty, get this blush brush. That's it. And the other two that I picked out for this category are both from Singe Beauty. Another blush brush, actually. I have the Singe F06 here. It's like a nice angled... Actually, both these blush brushes are angled. They're just different densities. I used both. All three of the brushes, actually, I have to tell you about, I used for my makeup today. This is pretty much always the brush I use to apply my powder blush. It's just really perfect. Really perfect shape, really perfect density, all the things. And Singe Beauty brushes are just really, really high quality. I generally recommend Singe Beauty for brushes. I think I have every brush they've come out with, actually. And also from Singe, the F01, which I use for foundation. This is the brush that changed my mind about applying foundation with a brush. I used to never do that and absolutely hate the idea of that. But now I only use brushes to apply my foundation. There's actually another brush from them that I also use for foundation. I don't think it's meant for that purpose, but I use it for that and it works beautifully. But I think this is the one in their line that is meant for foundation application. Yeah, again, top quality, really good shape, really good density. Use the Katie Jane Hughes brush priming technique, and you'll get a seamless, perfect foundation application every time. Really love that. Again, Singe Beauty brushes in general, but those are like my top two for the face. I didn't pick out any eye brushes. I don't know that I have any top eye brushes. If I do, they're probably all Singe brushes, so there's that. When I thought, oh, what are my top 3 brushes? All of my picks were face brushes for whatever reason. My mind just went to those 3. That actually wound up being a really simple category for me to pick for. Okay. We did it. Hopefully this was illuminating and fun. Thank you so much again to Hersa for suggesting we do this, and thank you so much for collabing with me. This was really fun. I'm sorry for breaking the rules a couple times. Hopefully it doesn't make you not want to collab with me in the future. Hersa's video should also be coming out today. If I can provide a link to that, I will. If not, her channel will be linked down below, and obviously it'll be the first video she's posted, the most recent video she's posted, so definitely check that out. I'm super excited to see what her top 3 picks in the categories are. If you want to, you can let me know in the comments down below what your top 3 picks for each of these categories would be, or even just pick one category. Pick your favorite category and tell me your top 3 in that category. I would love to know, actually. Be sure to check the description box down below for all the pertinent links. Links to Hersa and Julia's channels. Check out their videos. Links to any and everything I'm doing on the internet if you care about that. A link to my top recommendations for you to shop from Sephora during the VIB sale that is happening right now. If you're interested in that. Links to all of the products I mentioned here today. If you're curious about what is going on my face right now, that will all be revealed in my next video. So be sure to subscribe so that you get notified when that goes up, so you can come back and see that. I have a pretty fun, if a little unhinged series coming at you guys next, so there's that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and Hersa. I hope that you had fun. If you haven't already liked this video or subscribed to my channel, consider doing one or the other or both. Neither are mandatory, but both are highly appreciated, and I do hope you'll stick around. We do have fun here, I think. Whatever the case, I'm glad you were able to be here today. I do hope to see you back here for the next one, but in any case, I hope you just have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you're doing good, and I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy, and everyone's doing fantastic. Be kind to others, be good to yourselves, and vice versa. And I'll see you guys back here for the next one very soon. Bye. Don't mind me, neighbors. Ah! I almost threw Pepsi everywhere. It was almost a disaster. I do feel like we need to be more zipped. Wait, oh god. Oh god. Oh, that's so much better. Jesus Christ. That's fine. Okay, I think we're ready now. Now, I'm sure Hersa will comment if I'm fucking up atrociously. Anyway, it's warm. It's warm. This is pretty much always the blush brush I use to apply my powder blush.